We're working on a 1994 Buick LeSabre. The reason I'm making the video is to show you that with just one floor jack and a pair of jack stands, and of course your basic hand tools like those, although I do have an impact wrench from Craftsman, a 20 volt I believe. You can drop a subframe off your front wheel drive Buick, Chevy, Oldsmobile, Pontiac. I'm sure this will work on your Ford or your Toyota too. But here's how I did it. This is what makes it work. I just tied a chain off to here, and I know almost all your front wheel drives have this brace in it, and if it doesn't, you can just put one in, and I just put it there and tighten up a couple bolts. So you could just put a piece of steel there. Then this one I added. This is my idea. That's my idea too, but it was already there, so I just put a chain on it. But over here I put in another one. I built myself something I could tie off to on the front engine mount. Alright, there you go. So now all you need is a pair of jack stands, basic hand tools, and one floor jack, which basically means you can remove the transmission, that's how I got started on this whole thing. I can remove a transmission without removing the engine, which if you've been doing any of these, you know that means undoing a whole bunch of wires and hoses and getting to hook it all back up. I didn't even have to disconnect my power steering doing things the way I'm doing it, which is over here, and then it's routed back to my rack and pinion. I left that hanging there. There's my power steering tie rod end. It's all still in there. It's hanging off the boot. I believe I'll be able to get my transmission out and leave that in. So that's the big thing of it. Now you can drop a subframe. All you need is your floor jack, but you do need the high lift style. I know you go down and buy a lot of floor jacks and they only lift it like 2 feet. I believe mine goes to 37 inches. Of course, yes, you can always stack things on top of it and make it work. But trying to stack up a bunch of blocks and roll stuff like when you're working on transmissions ain't so easy sometimes. Although that would work for what I'm doing today. A shorter one would have worked. But the reason I bought the tall one is so I could roll transmissions back and forth when I'm mounting them in. It's just a $35 or less floor jack. I know there's a lot of fancy ones out there and you'd love to buy all of those, but just that one floor jack is kicking it. I picked it up at Runnings one day, and it's a Laren floor jack. So this is a first. It's a big deal. We've never been able to get that piece out. Basically, I've always been afraid to do it, figured I couldn't do it. And then finally I decided, might as well try it. I know on TV, you know, they got the ear jacks that lift the whole car up and down and all of that kind of stuff, and it's awesome. But the reason I got inspired to do it, because I seen how once you get that piece out, you can also work on that and do a lot of things for it also. Not that I think there's anything wrong with my steering on this, but it makes it so you can work on your suspension components also. Not just, you know, getting the transmission and engine out. So this car rides really well. It's got a completely new shock system on it. I got new fronts. I got new rear. I got new tires all the way around. It's air in the back. Yeah. So there you can see that air ride.